Most people think their day begins when they check their phone, drink their coffee, or step out the door. But science says your day and your mind are already being shaped in the first 5 minutes after you wake up. Those minutes are not just a transition from sleep to wakefulness. They're a unique neurological state where your brain is soft clay, ready to be molded by whatever you give it. Think about it. What's the first thing you do when your eyes open? Do you scroll through the news? Replay yesterday's worries? Or do you plant new thoughts on purpose? Because those first moments decide whether your brain spends the rest of the day wired for stress or primed for growth. In this video, we'll explore what happens inside your brain during that short but powerful window, why it's the most plastic and programmable state of your day, and how just 5 intentional minutes can reshape your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors for hours to come. Stay until the end. And I'll share a simple morning practice you can try tomorrow, one that starts rewiring your mind before you even get out of bed. Why did 2 people wake up to the same morning, same weather, same responsibilities, same world, and yet live completely different days? One feels calm, focused, and ready. The other is anxious before their feet even hit the floor. The difference often starts in the first 5 minutes after they open their eyes. Think about how your mornings usually go. The alarm rings, and before you even take a breath, your mind is already racing. Maybe you're replaying yesterday's arguments, worrying about deadlines, or scrolling through social media. Without realizing it, you hand those first moments over to autopilot, and autopilot often chooses fear, stress, or distraction. And like a snowball rolling downhill, those first thoughts gather momentum. By the time you're brushing your teeth, your entire nervous system is following the lead of the story you started telling yourself the moment you woke up. Philosophers have understood the sacredness of beginnings for centuries. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that the way we begin the morning shapes the way we live the day. He started each dawn by reminding himself of his values and intentions before facing the noise of the world. For him, mornings weren't a throwaway routine, they were strategy. The Stoics taught that the mind is most impressionable when it is still quiet, like soft clay that hardens into form as the day unfolds. What you press into that clay in the first minutes after waking determines the shape of your thoughts for hours. If you impress fear, the day becomes heavy. If you impress purpose, the day bends toward meaning. First, we form habits, the Stoics would say, and then they form us. This wisdom isn't limited to the West. In Buddhist teachings, the mind upon waking is described as a fresh field, fertile, open, and ready to receive seeds. The first thoughts you plant there grow roots deep in the subconscious. Plant weeds, self-criticism, resentment, scarcity, and they'll spread quietly all day. Plant seeds of compassion, presence, and intention, and they'll bear fruit in your decisions, actions, and emotions. Even William James, the father of modern psychology, echoed this idea. Beginnings hold disproportionate power in shaping habit. He believed that the initial moments of any practice are like the first brushstrokes on a blank canvas. They set the tone for everything that follows. The truth is, the first 5 minutes after waking are more than just getting ready. They are the foundation on which your entire day is built. And like any structure, if the foundation is shaky, everything built on top wobbles too. If you allow your first thoughts to be chaotic, the rest of your day has to fight against that current. But if those first moments are deliberate, they become a compass, pointing your mind, your emotions, and even your actions toward where you want to go. It is like steering a ship. A 1-degree turn at the start of the journey can mean hundreds of miles difference by the end. The same is true of your mind. A small, intentional shift in those first 5 minutes doesn't just change your morning, it changes the trajectory of your entire day. But why are those first 5 minutes so powerful? What makes them different from any other part of the day? The answer is rooted in how your brain works, and once you understand the science, you'll never look at your mornings the same way again. Right after you wake up, your brain isn't fully online yet. It's transitioning from the slow, deep delta and theta waves of sleep to the faster alpha and beta waves of alertness. That transition, which lasts just a few minutes, is like a bridge between the subconscious and conscious mind. Your defenses are still down. Your patterns haven't fully kicked in. It's a neurological doorway that's wide open, and whatever walks through it first tends to stay for the rest of the day. At the same time, your body is experiencing what scientists call the cortisol awakening response, CAR, a natural surge of cortisol that happens within 30 minutes of waking. This isn't the bad stress cortisol we hear about. It's more like an ignition switch priming your body for energy and focus. What you think and feel during this surge gets amplified like words spoken into a microphone and echoes throughout your physiology. And there's more. Research on neuroplasticity shows that the brain is constantly rewiring itself based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. But some states are more plastic than others, and that early morning window is one of them. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman calls it a neurobiological portal, when new neural pathways can form more easily. In other words, your brain is most teachable when you've just woken up. It's like wet cement, it will harden into whatever shape you give it. Even your hormones and neurotransmitters are more sensitive then. Positive thoughts and intentional focus can boost dopamine and serotonin, setting an emotional tone that lasts for hours. Negative rumination can do the opposite, reinforcing stress circuits before your day even starts. It's a bit like programming a GPS. Set the wrong destination at the beginning, and the whole trip heads in the wrong direction. Studies on morning meditation and mindfulness back this up. Harvard study led by Sarah Lazar found that even brief morning practices increase cortical thickness in regions tied to attention and self-awareness. Matthew Walker's work on circadian rhythms shows how this timing syncs with natural biological cycles, amplifying the impact of anything you do in those first moments. And all of this explains why what you do, and even more importantly, what you think in the first 5 minutes matters so much. If you wake up and immediately check your phone, your brain is wiring itself for distraction. If you replay old worries, it's wiring for anxiety. But if you use that time with intention, if you feed your brain thoughts of clarity, possibility, and purpose, it wires itself for that instead. So here's the big takeaway. Those first 5 minutes are not just mornings. They're leverage points, powerful, short windows where a tiny shift can ripple through the entire day. And in the next part of this video, I'll guide you through a simple practice designed to use that window to your advantage, one that will help you reprogram your subconscious and reshape the way you think, feel, and act from the moment you wake up. Let's bring everything we've talked about into focus. We saw that the first 5 minutes after waking aren't just a transition between sleep and day. They re a unique neurological state where your brain is still and slow. Receptive waves, your cortisol is rising to prepare you for the day, and your neural pathways are soft like wet cement, ready to take shape. We saw that ancient philosophies already understood this power. The Stoics reminded us that how we begin shapes how we live, and Buddhism teaches that the first thoughts we plant grow deep roots in the mind. And now science confirms it. Those first thoughts, those first words, those first intentions are not just fleeting. They change the chemistry of your brain and body and set the tone for everything that follows. Now imagine using that window with intention. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of rushing for your phone or replaying yesterday's worries, you simply pause. You breathe deeply, slowly, and give your nervous system a chance to stay calm while your brain is still open and plastic. You choose one clear thought to plant, something short and powerful like, I am capable, or I create peace. You repeat it gently as you breathe, letting it echo into the quiet space of your subconscious. And as you do, you start to imagine yourself moving through the day from that belief, speaking with confidence, responding to challenges with calm, staying focused on what matters. You see yourself doing it before it happens. And because the brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagined and real experiences, that mental rehearsal begins wiring those new neural pathways immediately. This simple practice works because it speaks the language of your biology. Your breath regulates the cortisol surge and keeps your system balanced. Your repeated thought strengthens the neural circuits that support it. And your imagination triggers predictive coding, the brain's built-in mechanism for preparing your body to act in alignment with what it expects. All of that happens in just 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes become the foundation of how you think, feel, and act for the rest of the day. And here's the real magic: consistency compounds. One morning won't transform everything, but 30 mornings will start to shift your baseline. And 100 mornings will create a version of you that thinks, feels, and lives differently, not because the world changed, but because you did. What starts as a quiet choice in the first light of day becomes a powerful tool to rewire your mind and redesign your reality from the inside out. Now I want you to think about this. What is the first thought you want to plant tomorrow morning? Say it out loud, write it in the comments. Naming it is the first step to wiring it in. And if this video helped you see your mornings in a new way, subscribe for more daily videos on how to reprogram your mind with ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience, and build a life that reflects the best version of who you are.